Hello everyone, it's Friday. We're getting ready for Shabbos Parshat. We want to thank the two sponsors. We have two sponsors this week for the video Dvar Torah. In honor of Shabbos, Mavarchim Rosh Chodesh Elul. This week's pre-Shabbos video Dvar Torah is sponsored anonymously by Yechi Reuven with brachos for Hasaras Magef Hazu Me'aleinu, that Hashem should remove the pandemic from the world. And we thank Yechi Reuven for the sponsorship, and we say amen to that tefillah. This week's pre-Shabbos video Dvar Torah is also sponsored by Dr. Nelson P. Landy, in memory of his father, Dr. Lawrence M. Landy, Moshe Eliezer ben Nissen, Zechron Levracha, whose yahrzeit he recently observed, and should be an aliyah for his neshama, and we thank Dr. Landy. In this week's Parsha, Moshe Rabbeinu transitions from his previous speeches, the first part of the book of Dvar, which are speeches that review the Jews' times in the wilderness and general moral exhortations, things important for them to remember. And he transitions now in this week's Parsha to specific mitzvos, commandments that he teaches or reviews or explains again. And this is introduced with the following opening passage of our Parsha. Re'ei, see, understand, take note, Anochi nosein lifnechem hayom, that I'm placing before you today, Moshe Rabbeinu says, bracha uklala, blessing and curse. Es habracha, the blessing, asher tishmeu al mitzvos Hashem, if you will listen to the mitzvos of Hashem. Va'klala, im lo tishmeu, and the curse, if you do not. And this is one of the several places where the Torah formulates the principle, one of the bedrock foundational principles of Judaism, and that is free will, as the Ramban highlights on this passage. The choice is placed before us. Re'ei anochi nosein lifnechem, the blessing and curse, the choices is placed before you. What does it mean before you? That it is up to you. You have the choice. Both options are available. There's a very old question of how do we square our free choice, free will, human moral free will, with God's foreknowledge. If Hashem knows what we will do, which we say he does, which we believe he does, he knows the future. If he knows the choice I will make, whether it's good or bad, well, then I don't have free will because I'm forced to do that. The other option is not really an option. And this is a question that was discussed by our great Jewish medieval philosophers. It's still discussed today in classrooms, in yeshiva day schools across the world. And there are different approaches to this issue. The Rambam deals with this issue in Hilchos Tshuva. And the Rambam's position is as follows. He says, De'eh, you should know, Shuvat she'elazu arucha me'eretz midah v'rachva minayam. The answer to this question is beyond the length of the world, of the land, beyond the width of the sea. Why is that? He says, for we already explained that God's knowledge is different than human knowledge. A person cannot fully comprehend and understand God's knowledge. Just like one cannot fully, truly, absolutely understand God, so too we cannot understand God's knowledge, how God's mind works. Therefore, therefore we cannot understand how God knows what we will decide, and yet we still have free will, we still have free choice. In other words, the Rambam tells his students, I do not have an answer to this question. I have no way to resolve the contradiction between God knowing what I will do and I still having moral free will, and therefore I'm responsible for my actions. It is beyond us. It is beyond us. It is something that the human mind cannot comprehend. Now, the way the Rambam presents it is that he focuses on God's knowledge. The reason why it is beyond us, the reason why this is a question beyond us that we cannot solve, we cannot know the answer, is because God's knowledge is beyond us. We cannot fully understand God's knowledge. But one could also say the following. If we know that we have free will, we know that we have free moral choice to act and respond as we choose, even if there are pressures, even if there are challenges, but ultimately we have free choice. If we do not know how we can have free choice, despite knowing that God has foreknowledge, God knows what we will choose, that also means that we cannot fully comprehend, we cannot fully understand our own free choice. How is it that I still have the ability to choose even though God knows the future? That is a mystery that we cannot fully understand, the Rambam writes. There is something inside of us, our most basic force and power inside of us. We ourselves do not know, do not comprehend, cannot fathom. That is because the power of free will is so mysterious. It comes from some supernal world. It is from beyond this world. By the laws of science, by the laws of psychology, we should not have free choice. The fact that we do is a divine spark. And even though it is inside of us, it is so incredible, we actually do not fully understand it. We have learned over the past number of months that in some ways there are forces that are greater than us, that we cannot control, that we cannot conquer. We are thrust into situations, into circumstances that are beyond our control, that we cannot change, that we cannot overcome. When it comes to certain laws of physics, of nature, of science, they are stronger than we are. However, our foundational belief is that although that is true, we still always have free choice. And that no one can ever take from us. That is a power that we will always have. We cannot always choose the situation, but we can choose how we will react. We can choose how we will act. We can choose if we will respond with kindness, with collaboration, with faith, with strength. There are pressures that push us. There are challenges that challenge us. But we always have the power to choose the kind of person I want to be, to choose how I want to react, how I want to live given these circumstances, and no one can ever take that from us. That is our freedom, that is our power. That is something that Hashem has given to us. Re'eh, Anochi nosein lifnechem, Hashem has given us this incredible blessing, this incredible power, and that is the foundation of the entire Torah. The Ram concludes the passage of V'zeh ha'ikr shekol divrei hanavuot limbo. The fact that we have free will and thus are responsible for our actions is a foundation upon which depends all of the words of all of the prophets. And that is the message of the opening of our Parsha. Moshe says, before I tell you the commandments, before I tell you what you are supposed to do, what you are allowed to do, what you are not allowed to do, before I tell you what will be the moral choices you'll have to make, Re'eh Anochi nosein lifnei chem hayom, you should know, first know, fundamentally know, that the first thing I give you before the mitzvahs is the power of free will, of moral free choice. And that is the greatest gift that Hashem gave to humanity.